everything you're kind of building towards about basketball?
So I think the main point of that is I grew up a huge baseball fan, right? I was a huge New York Yankees fan growing up. And then as I got older, I started to think that the game was a little bit too slow for me. So I started looking at other sports. And fortunately, I got caught with basketball because if it wasn't basketball, I don't think that Hoops Nation or anything like Hoops Nation would exist from like a pure rights standpoint. Like nobody like me could even exist within an NFL or MLB infrastructure because of the rights to the footage and how lenient the NBA is with that online. So fortunately, it was basketball. I started out writing about fantasy basketball back on Facebook in like 2014, 15 when I was literally 14, 15 years old. And then, started learning how to like crop photos within, apps on my phone and stuff like that. And put songs over the tops of videos and start to distribute on social, make friends with other creators. And then all of that really started back then on Facebook, and then obviously jumping over to other platforms.
And that's actually where I wanted to start, was with Facebook. Because I think you were young when you started. It was a fantasy basketball page, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why Facebook?
Facebook, because at the time I thought that was the most poppin' thing like ever. And now that sounds ridiculous because like only our grandmothers are on Facebook like actively now. Whereas everybody else is on Twitter or Reddit or LinkedIn or Instagram. But I think Facebook at the time, because it was the most popular, back then I saw the potential because I saw the videos getting 50, 100 million views. And then that started happening for me. So, Facebook was really the spot to be at the time.
Yeah. With the first page, it was like long form written content, right?
It was.
So now I really want to ask, because I've heard you talk about how you're dyslexic, right?
Yeah, very.
So why long form written content? Because I've heard you talk about how you don't even like to read long form content. It's why written?
I can't. Throughout the entirety of my high school career, take a guess at how many books I read?
None.
0.
That's
0 books. Guess how many books I presented on?
quite a few.
A lot of books. I presented on a lot of books. And I wouldn't even prepare either. I would literally just make sure I didn't go first, listen to what other people were saying and talking about, and I would ask very particular questions, make sure the teacher really, really liked me, and then just start going off on a ramble on the one thing I knew about from what I picked up from like other people presenting. And I would always do fine. But I read 0 books in high school. And looking back at what kind of that fantasy basketball content was, long form written, it must have been terrible. Because I like really can't even write long form now without having to reread it 20, 30 times. And back then, I guarantee I didn't reread it once. I just clicked post. And I think that was part of the beauty of it and, why I didn't really care. But that transformed into much shorter form.
Yeah.
And video, which is obviously much better for anybody dyslexic. Yeah.
And then I think your second page was all NBA all day.
Yes, sir.
Was that the page where you figured out how to go live before it was available in the US?
I think so. On all NBA all day, that's where I was sharing the live streams onto. But when Facebook first launched Facebook Live, it wasn't allowed on pages. It was only on personal accounts in certain areas. So I had to create a second fake account under the name of, I think it was like Jim John or something like that. Just like a random name. And then I would use that account to go live on, and then I'd share it on the All NBA All Day page.
That's crazy. So like, why did you pick live like back in the day?
I have no idea, because I know exactly why. Because I wanted to be a radio broadcaster. That's what I wanted. I thought I was going to be a TV broadcaster. I was a huge Yankees fan, so Michael Kay was like the Yankees broadcasting every game. Like, that's what I wanted to be. Like, done. Mm-hmm. So, watching him and watching people that do that and watching people on radio, how could I get close to that? Is there any way that I could get anything close to that? Oh, there's this new thing called Facebook Live. That's kind of close. Mm-hmm. And if you have an audience, it's kind of the same impact. You're live and they're watching you. So that's why.
That's fair. And now live streaming is still a big part of your strategy.
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing that it does now is it puts a face behind a page instead of a logo. So on Hoops Nation and on like all these, I mean, there are a lot of basketball accounts similar to mine on social. But one of the things that I try to do and spend a lot of time trying to do, an effort is differentiating in the sense of being able to put a face behind the logo and in front of it, which then creates relationships not only with the audience but with other pages that might or might not have a face behind their logo or want to head in that direction. So anybody that runs a page and comes across it, oh, it's not just a company, or it's not a company at all, it's actually just a dude like me, which is what they all are in reality. But it's difficult to look at it that way when all you see is a logo and 1,000 posts or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And I've also heard you talk about how your live streams help you get content for the next day.
Yes. So by talking for 10 to 15 to 30 minutes, maybe sometimes even an hour, 30-minute streams, I can get a really, really good gist on what people are interested in. So if everybody's asking about where Anthony Davis is going to go, I'm going to know exactly what I should be posting about for the next 24 hours and exactly the content that I should both be creating, curating, and asking other people to send to me from like a meme standpoint and just like a statistical standpoint, news standpoint. So that is how I get a really, really good idea on what I should care about really quickly.
And so when did you make that jump to Instagram from Facebook originally?
So it was actually pretty late, probably late 2016, September, November 2016. And then what I did was I contacted all the big Instagram pages at the time and said, I can help you grow your Facebook account. I will grow you like, an example of what it appeared to them was like, if you spend $5 with me, I'm going to give you $15 back, right? That was the follower ratio that I was going for. So like if I'm going to gain them, 1,000 followers, maybe they can give me 250, 300 back across, promoting on their account. And for myself, if they have a video that they want shared, I can just get it shared on 10, 15 pages. And it was much easier on Facebook at the time because organic reach was fantastic. They killed that. And that's why every Facebook page pretty much died. And that's why Instagram's a lot better for now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's fair. So there wasn't a lot of migration from Facebook to Instagram then originally when you made the switch?
No, because Facebook was still doing really well. Organic reach on Facebook was still great. Like if you had 500,000 people on a Facebook page, you were getting 5 to 10,000 likes a post, which is amazing. That's a really good, still small, but percentage. That doesn't even remotely exist now unless you're spending big dollars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Were there any other strategies you implemented other than reaching out to other pages to grow your Instagram when you first made that jump?
I think a lot of it had to do with from the get. Putting myself as an influencer on top of the page, because then it created this personable aspect, and then it allowed me to connect with pages much bigger than mine at the time, because it was this combo, right? It was Hoops Nation is an influencer and the company / brand, so it makes double the sense to know who he is or be friendly or whatever. But I think a lot of it also had to do with the consistency of the posting on the page. Like early on, 10 to 15 times a day, which very, very few accounts are able to do. And especially since back then I was doing even more than I am now, curating content, it is possible to do. I'll put it like that.
I heard